Today, I'm very happy welcoming actress Carolyn Crotty from the United States. She's not only an actress, but she's an acting professor or coach, and also writer-producer, originally from Omaha, Nebraska, correct?
Yes, yes.
Hello, Carolyn. How is everything?
Nice to see you.
Thank you
It's
very much.
good.
Likewise. I want to ask you, about your very fast, because I think long years, your interest into art since your childhood and your trip, from Nebraska to California, where, usually the Hollywood productions are made.
Yes. Well, I first went to New York City. I finished high school in New York City. So I went from Nebraska to New York and then from New York to California. Yes.
And yes,
pardon me.
yes, you finished your studies. I've seen you studied at the acting studio.
I studied, when I went to New York City, I was brought there, which is a performing arts young people's camp in Loch Sheldrick, New York, that started people like Natalie Portman and a lot of well-known actors started there. And then I actually did my training in New York City with William Esper, who died about a year ago. He was a big teacher in New York City. And then I went on to American Conservatory Theater to study a little bit. But my training has been through all my life, but I would say the bulk of my training was with the William Esper Studio in New York City. Bill Esper, I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but.
Yes. But did you do some theater in New York before moving?
Yes, I did. When I first moved there, I worked at the Sanford Meisner Theater downtown. I did some theater in Brooklyn. When I was young, I was up for some Broadway stuff. I had a big casting director that was interested in me. So I didn't get the Broadway gigs, but I was auditioning a lot for the Roundabout Theater at the time. But that's how basically my training was all in New York City as a theater actor. I mean, that was my first love is theater. So and my singing started with, there was a well-known cabaret singer. Her name was Julie Wilson. She became a big cabaret star in New York City. She's from Omaha, Nebraska, where I'm from. And that was my foray into the arts because she came home to Nebraska to take care of her mother. And I started singing lessons with her when I was about 16 years old. So I'm also a singer, but primarily an actress singer, so.
I see in your filmography that you started in some short films and television series, especially, Master of Sex recently, and some short films like The Black Dog, The Good Neighbor, I want to know how did you find your roles? How did you get cast in your first roles in shorts and television?
Well, for the short, The Good Neighbor, a close friend of mine that I started out with in the theater in Los Angeles, we met when we were in our early 20s. He was a kind of a festival screen name. His name is Chris Dubeck, and he was did a lot of films in South by and Sundance. And so when a friend of his, Jacob Vaughn, who ended up becoming an editor for the Duplass brothers, when my friend Jacob approached him and said we were going to be doing this short film, he, demanded that I be in the short, The Good Neighbor, which was directed by Jacob Vaughn. So my friend Chris actually wouldn't do the film unless I was in it. So that film ended up going to South by Southwest because Jacob was very involved in South by. And so we were able to go to South by with that short film. And in The Black Dog, it was an AFI film, American Film Institute. And I went in and auditioned. I submitted myself for it. And I did really well at the audition, and I ended up landing that role, which was wonderful. I ended up working with a veteran theater actor and TV actor, Jan Monroe, who is married to one of the stars of 6 Feet Under. I can't remember her name at the time, but she's a very famous actress. So I had the privilege of working with Jan Monroe. He played my father in The Black Dog, but that was just an audition that I got. As an actor, I've never really depended on agents and managers, even though I do have them now. I've always pursued my career, ruthlessly, as if I'm my own manager. So I was lucky. Yeah.
Excellent. See, so if I want to cast you, I contact you directly.
That's the best way. I truly believe that, as an actor, you are, you care more about your career than anyone. So you have to be your best. Still, I hustle like as if I don't.
And here, Carolyn, you played Mrs. Ito. She's supposed to be the wife of Judge Ito, who was the judge on the O.J. Simpson case. And that was a mini-series a few years ago. Tell me, I don't think, while following the case, when it was live on CNN, I don't think that Mrs. Ito was brought up in the news or anything, but she was a real life character, correct?
Actually, she wasn't as popular as Judge Ito, but if you Google Peggy York, her real name was Peggy York. Of course, she went by Mrs. Ito in the series, but she was actual real person, Peggy York, who was a captain, chief of police, who we think had not relations, but knew Mark Fuhrman. So she had sort of that's what happened with the whole series, is there was maybe something going on there where she knew him and he had worked for her. She wasn't as popular as Judge Ito, but if you do Google her name, Peggy York, you will come across pictures of her. She was a tall blonde, or a lot taller than Judge Ito because he was a lot shorter. But all of us in America were obsessed with that case because OJ was a hero that we all admired and respected, and then to see the downfall of his life and career. But I got that series through a manager. I had auditioned for that series, and they picked me to play Peggy York, which I was thrilled about. Ryan Murphy was the producer on that, and he gave me my first real break in TV. So very happy.
Yeah, what I wanted to ask you is, did you manage to meet her, or did you try to research the role and create your performance yourself?
I didn't try to. Basically, in Hollywood, you audition one day, and then you may not hear about a role. For film, it usually takes longer. It could be 3 to 4 weeks, or it could be months before you hear if you got a part. In the OJ series, I went into audition maybe on a Monday. I didn't even know I got cast until the following Tuesday. They called me and I had to shoot the next day. So there wasn't a lot of time for me to call Peggy York and have a conversation with her, because I got the call at about 4 o'clock on a Tuesday and I had to be on set Wednesday morning. I didn't want to play it wasn't like a film where I was researching and playing a whole series based on someone. Of course, I would have done that research, but I did look at pictures, and I studied her as best as I could in the time frame. It was less than 24 hours when I had to shoot that series. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
Great.
I didn't have a lot of time to research her, but I became obsessed with her after I played her. And I was hoping they'd do a spin-off of her, but she's a remarkable woman, highly successful, and I hope I did her justice.
Yes. Well, this week on Netflix, fans of binge watching, they got to see all the series Ratched,
Yes.
all the episodes. I think I'm too old to watch the whole series in one day.
Yeah,
But
me too.
I succeeded to watch the first 2 episodes, and you appear yourself in the second episode as a nun. And of course, it's a very special series. It's very psychological, very Hitchcockian, You know, I think fans of the genre will like it very much. Tell me a little bit about the set and how was it to film, you know, the series and your role.
Once again, it was, well, is a very different character for me. I've played a nun in a big play in Los Angeles that got an LA Times critic pick called Marion Bridge. Daniel MacGyver, I think, was the author. So I had experience playing a nun because I had worked, you know, I'd been one of the leads in a play in Los Angeles. So I went in, you know, it's very tense when you go in and you audition for a big, you know, show, TV show, because everyone wants to be in a Ryan Murphy production. So I just tried to be as simple, and breathing, you know, breathing's always very important for me. They pinned me for the job, I think shortly after, and I was their first choice. And then I had to wait a week to get total confirmation that I was booked. In acting, I'm sure you may have this in Egypt, that, you know, you may be someone's first choice or second choice. And just because you're on a veil doesn't mean you'll necessarily book a job. So I waited pins and needles to make sure I was in this project. And I finally got the go ahead that I would shoot it. I studied, first of all, I grew up as a Catholic girl from Nebraska. So I had a lot of experience dealing with nuns. I was a rebellious Catholic girl, so I had sort of that opposite experience. I studied a lot of looked at old movies, how nuns walked and their stature. And I always try to make sure I have a distinct physicality in terms of the characters I play, where they come from, their walk. Being on set, I was directed by Ryan. So he's a very big producer in Hollywood. And it was a very, you know, it was the production to be in at the time, because everyone wanted to get in Ratched, because it's Ryan Murphy and starring Sarah Paulson, and all the stars were in it. I ended up working very closely with Hunter Parrish. I had 2 days on the series. He was a lovely co-star to work with. It was wonderful. It was, Ryan's a very visual director, so he's looking at things from a visual standpoint. So a lot of the character analysis had to come from what were my secrets at the nun, you know, what was my intention. I'm always, even if I have a small part, which I've had small parts, I play them as if they have a full inner life. And you know, there's no small parts, as Shakespeare said, or was it Laurence Olivier? I don't know. So it was stressful. I had to walk down that winding staircase, and my habit was a little bit too long. So I was mostly concerned with, I just hope I don't fall. but just delivering that monologue, and Ryan wanted it, you know, he's very into how the nun's outfit would flow. So it was very, no stopping, no, you know, stopping at the end of the stairs. And it was just a treat to work with him, but it was probably the most thrilling time I've had on set. I didn't interact a lot with Sarah Paulson. I had a reaction shot with her. She's a very focused actress. But I have to say it was delightful. And sometimes on set in LA, you don't get the feedback you're looking for, like, am I doing all right? So you have to have a lot of confidence in your choices and who you are, because a director and a producer, they're busy. You know, we're day players. I was a day player 2 days. So we don't, you know, we're just there to serve, you know, the story as best as we can. But I had a wonderful wrangler on set who, you know, wranglers, you know, get the actors going, tell them where to go. And he was always very positive and kept giving me thumbs up and definitely reassured me. And so it was delightful. I was just honored to work with him.
Yes, from you know, the 2 episodes I've seen I liked very much the production design. I mean, the colors and you know, the set decoration and all the details, you know, of this period, you know, in the 50s, I think, or
Yes.
60s. And
Mine took place in the 40s, I think 1947.
yes, so,
Early.
you know, I mean, the cars, the costumes, the hairdos, all these things, and I compare it to a feature film. I mean, also the lancing, the music, the editing, the use of split screen like Hitchcock and Brian De Palma used to do. So I think for the viewers, you know, and especially the lovers of the psychological thriller genre, I think it's a very good ride for the viewers.
Oh yeah, visually, I think it's one of the most stunning things I've ever seen. So, and it doesn't surprise me because I think some people have issues with the story. They're diehard, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, feel that it doesn't serve, you know, the book or the movie. But with Ryan, he's always so creative. He just puts his own stamp on it. And this is, to me, even if you don't, you know, agree with how he's going about it, visually, I can't think of anything more fascinating to watch, but that's just, maybe I'm biased.
Yes, it's some kind of a spin-off because it's quite different from the style of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. You know,
Yes.
it relies on some characteristic of the character, the nurse, of course, Ratched. But I want to ask you, Caroline, about your next projects. I see you're working right now on a short film you already wrote, and also you're filming a film called Merely, correct?
I finished Merrily. He had a lot of famous people in it. I think he hasn't wrapped that. I played a very distinct character called Mutual Teller at a racing track. I have another show coming out for Apple TV called For All Mankind. I filmed that last year. I played a spacesuit veteran technician. That's a big show produced by Sony Television and on Apple TV, and that'll be coming out. For All Mankind, I play Coral Hisco. I had one day on that, and so hopefully that's a space show. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but that's another show that's coming out. Basically, I always wanted to be a film director too, besides being an actor and a writer. So I put together a short called Halt, which I really can't tell you a little about, but it's a sort of a dramatic thriller. And I was gonna be the lead in it, and I have certain actors in mind that I want to cast. It's just because of the pandemic, I haven't been able to shoot that, but you know, it's hard when you're having your own vision of a short film and you know, ask other people for advice. And so you just got to stick to your vision, but it's a brilliant idea. And I hope it manifests someday.
No, I hope so. I hope so. You plan to direct it yourself as well. Hmm?
I would love to direct it. I had a friend who's a big TV director involved in it, but she's been so busy she couldn't be involved in it. But it's hard because I want to play the lead, and it's a short. So I don't know if I'm going to direct it or I'm going to have someone else direct it. I've never played the lead and directed myself, but I love working with actors, and I think I'm a good storyteller. So we'll see. But I hope it does come to fruition.
I hope next year we can screen it in Egypt, hopefully.
Oh my God, that'd be wonderful. I wish I could tell you what it's about. It's a very dark story, and some people feel it's well, one of my co-writers feels it's not going to be as well received if I don't go another way. But you know, it's something I'm still processing and working on because the idea is so wonderful.
No, go with your vision.
Yeah, thank you. Whenever I write, and if I'm a writer and an actor, when I'm doing that writing, I always have an actor in mind when I'm writing from. It's very hard for me just to have a blank slate. I know so many wonderful actors who haven't had their breaks and haven't had chances, and I'm really into great character acting. So I have very specific actors in mind to play those
Great.
parts. So.
Great. I wish you all the best, Carolyn
Oh,
Crotty.
you're so sweet.
And I hope next year, you know, we see your new film and your new television series. I think Apple right now TV is a, you know, big contender to Amazon and Netflix, you know, and Hulu right now. So I hope a very good reception for your new series. And I will follow up the news and hope we can screen your new outings next year.
Oh, that would be so wonderful. I've always, you know, wanted to go to Egypt, and I appreciate you taking the time to interview me.
Thank you very much. I wish you all the best and
Thank you.
great to talk to you.
Wonderful to talk to you. Please keep in touch, okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.